it's really a distinct honor for me, a personal honor, to get to introduce Professor Weiler, and he just requested I keep it short, but I can't totally abbreviate as much as he wanted, not because I'm going to sit and read his CV. I assume you all know it off by heart and are completely jealous, but better not to be jealous, because, you know, just, we should all aspire for our own achievements. I'll just say very briefly just where he's at right now. Professor Weiler is the European Union Jean Monnet Chair at NYU Law School, and he's a senior fellow at Harvard's Center for European Studies. He was, just the last few years, because that's recent history, the president at the European Union Institute, and of his many, many achievements, I'm just picking one. He's a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. So I'll leave it at that. But what I do want to say, and this is a little relates to the last session, is that I have a lot of gratitude to Professor Weiler, and it's a lot of it's personal as a mentor who's helped me in all sorts of ways. This is not the time where I'm going to talk about that. I imagine one day, you know, at 120, when Professor Weiler maybe just cuts down his responsibilities to 50%. At that point, I would love to talk about that, but there's going to be such a long line of people who are going to have to explain how you've helped them along in their career. So, but I won't talk about that now. But I want to talk about what I do think is relevant to what we're doing here, because I think what Benny and I, in our own modest way, are trying to construct is certainly modeled after what Professor Weiler, I got to witness. I was at NYU Law School at the Tikva Center for several years. I basically refused to leave once Professor Weiler allowed me in. And there are people around the room who, over the course of the last 3 days, a lot of alumni of that Tikva Center. And Tikva Center not only was just a wonderful place to be near Washington Square and to be around a lot of great minds and ideas, but it also stood for something, which was in a specific place, but obviously the visionary and some of what he taught me and taught us goes beyond that specific place, and that is, I think, two things. One is to create a Beit Vad L'Chachamim, a house of gathering of the wise. So what that means is try to find a community and to draw in different members into a community that share in their intellectual quest, and it's an intellectual quest to try to figure out all sorts of large and small questions about the past, about the present, and to think also about the future. And the other thing is actually the way he defined the role of Jewish law within the Tikva Center. I remember this very well, that the definition was the center of Jewish law and civilization, right? It wasn't an institute of Jewish law per se, but it was something larger than that, and the larger than that you might have imagined in a law school would be Jewish law and secular law. No, it was Jewish law and civilization, which was both trying to broaden what Jewish law is, but I think it was also a comment to NYU Law School. That's the way I interpreted it. That NYU Law School also has larger conversations that it needs to be a part of. The outer limits are civilization. And I think Benny and I, in our own modest way, at least share that aspiration. Benny is the director of an institute for Jewish law, a well-known Machon Mishpat Ivri, and I'm lucky enough to be a part of that too. But for us, that really has to be part of larger conversations. And the way it becomes part of larger conversations is through that Vad L'Chachamim, through gathering wise, interesting, curious experts in such a range of domains, but also who are open to having bigger conversations. So I think the last few days, we've tasted that a little bit, and it really follows in the spirit of my mentor, Professor Weiler.
Thank you very much.